Let's roll. Brandon, Canada is yet again the best at the hockey in the world. They have beat Finland 3-2 at the World Hockey Championships out in Latvia. How do you feel about this?
For the Maple Leaf itself, it's a good day to be wearing it, be a proud Canadian. And you're right. I mean, although it's the men's World Hockey Championships, not the Olympics or the World Juniors or the
Right.
IIHF Davis Cup. No, what's that one called?
That's the Spengler Cup.
So it's actually a pretty big accomplishment. The players on the team have a great chance to, I'd say, raise their stock. Like Manjapane, or the guy who got the MVP of the tournament, completely blew away what I thought he was of a player, and rose above expectations. I think Connor Brown absolutely.
Man, that guy had a tournament. Like, he tore it up. He carried that team. He had the assist on the game-winning goal. Not Logan Paul. He fights tonight. What's his name? Nick Paul had a fantastic had a fantastic game. I'm getting my events mixed up, man. Nick Paul had a fantastic game. Like, he scores the game-winning goal, the golden goal, as Gordon Miller called it on the call. I don't think it had quite the effect that Sidney Crosby did, but what a fantastic finish.
That was actually that was a funny call. It made me raise my eyebrows as well.
But you know what, though? I think we do have to tip our caps to Canada, because they started the tournament 0-3.
Yeah, they had a horrible start to the tournament. They barely made it into the medal round, and that was on a chance on some teams losing. So they were all in by hope.
Exactly. Yeah, and good for them. It just shows that you never know what's going to happen. And we had an interesting conversation later. So do you want to loop everybody in on what we were talking about with the relation to what we were saying as related to Game 7 between the Mavericks and the Clippers?
Obvious. Oh, we're talking about the Clippers now?
Let's relate it all together, because we had that connection we were talking about.
Okay, so obviously, well, no obliviouses, whatever. The Canada-Finland game ended in overtime today, 3-2. And to much speculation of the end result, and to some of our surprises, it was 3-on-3. Unlike typical playoff format NHL hockey, 5-on-5 overtime until the end, the World Championship started 3-on-3 for 20 minutes. And by my memory, rather, the game ended 7 minutes in. It was 13:50 something. It was a rather quick ending, and on the highlight, you couldn't tell, obviously, if you had watched it was 3-on-3. But knowing it was, even proud Canadian himself, Josh was asking the questions if that was a legitimate victory for our country and for a way for a global international championship to end. So you can ask me what you asked me earlier now.
Right. So hockey is played at 5-on-5, correct?
Yeah. Regulation.
Okay, basketball. What's basketball played at?
Yeah, 5-on-5.
Same. Baseball's played, even side. NFL, same thing. Lacrosse, same thing. Yes, there are cases where you play at 5-on-4, 5-on-3, 4-on-4, 4-on-3, 3-on-3. I just thought that it was interesting that the World Championship of Hockey, the IIHF, does consider this the highest prestige of hockey championships. I know we don't see it that way because the NHL playoffs are going on, so the best players available are still playing in the NHL. But the IIHF sees that this way. I just thought it was interesting that the gold medal was decided in a kind of gimmick format in 3-on-3. That's what they decided. The teams knew what they were going into. I just thought it was interesting that 3-on-3 decides the gold medal winner, and it's a Connor Brown to Nick Paul across the crease 3-on-3 odd man rush goal that decides who the best in the world is. Because watching that game, Finland was the better 5-on-5 team. but then you decide the game in a 3-on-3 overtime format. So I just thought that was, is hockey
Right.
the only sport that can get away with this?
So I guess that's the question now that Josh is kind of directed towards me, is the culmination of all these worries is that what do I think? And I kind of honestly, I was accepting of the idea of how it ended. I was kind of entertained by it. I thought that it was probably something that obviously, considering, if for those not aware, it was the first year of implication for this rule. And I think that
Yes, it was.
it was a clear display of finishing, I guess, in any, I don't know if dramatic fashion is the word, but they got to the point quicker, faster, more direct. I don't know what the IIHF's or I guess visions were for having it in 3-on-3, but I think that entertainment-wise, it helped.
For sure, it was a hell of an overtime.
I'm not too upset that it ended. You know, you're thinking about it in the big picture, like a world championship ended by three people on 3 people. I mean, adding 2 more people, one if even, like, what would you say if it was 4-on-4? How would that make you feel any happier?
No, it wouldn't. No. If you're deciding the best at something and you're handing out a trophy, I think you have to play the sport at what it was meant to be played at. So for hockey, it's 5-on-5. For soccer or football, it's 11-on-11. We got the Euro Cup coming up, which is the best on best of the European countries. If they go to extra time in the championship game, they're not going to 5-a-side. They still play 11-on-11. So I don't understand why the IIHF cut that down to 3-on-3 overtime for the gold medal game. Sure, I understand it in the preliminary round where you need a winner to decide who gets the extra point. Sure, whatever. But for gold medal game, I didn't fully understand that. Yeah, it's good Canada won. Is there a little bit of an asterisk? Maybe there is. I don't know how you feel about that. I just don't think you won the gold medal. Did you win it in the pure form that the sport was meant to be played in? No, you didn't. But that was the rules that the teams knew it was going to be going into. So congratulations, you won the gold medal. Canada is the best in the world at hockey this year based on the IIHF format.
Right. So there's Josh's undivided culmination.
And I think that's fair, no? Am I being unfair?
Well, so do you not even agree with regulation, regular season 3-on-3 NHL overtime?
See, that's different because you're not handing out the best. Like, okay,
still mean a lot.
So there's a difference between.
Point.
Okay, so Brad, no. Let me ask you this. Okay, Game 7, Stanley Cup Final. You go to 3-on-3. That's stupid, right?
That's stupid, right? That's what you said.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah, right now
that's not hockey. So you see what I mean, right? But 3-on-3 regular season, you got to get a winner. Whatever, nobody really fucking cares.
I guess.
You see what I mean?
Is this a decision that
this tournament is the basis of it is it's the best in the world at what they are doing, which is playing hockey. Hockey is played at 5-on-5, not 3-on-3.
Okay, so here's a question, not even maybe a question for you, but here's a open page I want you to fill in for me because you're the Twitter analyst here.
Sure.
Between both of us, is this an opinion that's widespread amongst the hockey community today? Is this something that you've also heard online?
I've actually not been on Twitter since this morning because I've been in a pool having a couple beers, watching the Jays and watching everything. So this is my own opinion. I haven't seen what everybody else thought of this. This is my own opinion.
Right. You asked me mine. I wasn't too offended by it. I wasn't too, I don't know if offended is the right word. I wasn't too mixed up about it, having to draw my definitions of hockey clearly. I think that the teams are still what they were. The coaches had to put out the players they did, and everyone was responsible for the decisions they made. I mean, I'm glad that 3-on-3 was there to make it a situation that the international hockey can relate to, and maybe, sorry, not relate, but set a precedent rather for NHL to come, other leagues around the world for important playoff format hockey, and maybe that's down to 3-on-3, if not 4-on-4, and to be furthered. Maybe even there's 3-on-3
So
mid-season tournament that it's been rumored.
let's put a pin on this. First Mavericks. Let's say it's remember when Crosby scored the golden goal in 2010 overtime game? They played it 5-on-5. You finish that game. The States tie it up with 1:07 to go. It's 2-2 going into overtime, and then all of a sudden they go, "Okay, we're gonna play 3-on-3 now." How would you feel about that? It's different, right? Like it's not. Totally takes away from the game. I just think because this isn't getting enough attention because it's not on a big enough stage as these other big games get. Because the NHL playoffs are going on.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if there's any further backlash. I can't provide a further explanation for why this happened. I'm excited for Canada to win. Maybe this is a different conversation, obviously, if they lost, but at least Josh is unbiased today in his rules.
Yeah. Nope. You know what? And I'll stand by it. Good for Canada. They won. They followed the rules of the tournament. They won 3-on-3 overtime. I was happy to see when Nick Paul tucked that puck in off a nice pass from Connor Brown on a 2-on-1 in overtime. Good for them. They beat Finland 3-2 overtime after starting tournament 0-3. What happened today in Game 7 between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks? Fill us in.
Well, I'd actually wish I had shared it or saved it before it went away on me, but our story on Instagram yesterday gathering our opinions and fans' decisions on who would win between the Clippers and Mavericks Game 7 today.
You want me to check?
Easy to say. Huh?
You want me to check?
No, it's outdated. It's okay.
Okay.
I know it. It was. I just didn't want to show. I couldn't get it in time to show the results. It was like 20 votes. Luka would win, and like 7 votes that Kawhi would win. And I just love the dominant factors in which the Clippers won and carried business out today, as they should get past the first round this season. And one team in the Staples Center has cleared past the first round. Obviously, Luka Doncic, hats off to him. Very notable performances throughout the whole series, pushing it to 7, putting the Clippers on the edge 2 times, and maybe even back on home court. It was a crazy series because it was the first in NBA history that through 6 games, both teams had won all games away from home court. So no one had been with an advantage, unfortunately, with their home court, regardless of the capacity of fans. Tonight, especially, Luka Doncic almost tied, if not just went underneath the all-time NBA scoring record for a Game 7 point, and that points rather. That was around 47, so he had 46 or something. Absolutely amazing performance. Kawhi Leonard did put on the claws when it mattered the most in the most clutch moments. Kawhi himself carried the offense, directed most plays. Paul George just took a sideline there today. Unfortunately, I would hope he breaks out in the second round. It'll be the Jazz versus the Clippers, which is going to be a pretty interesting bout. I would say pretty even out right now. I'm looking for a lot of players to break out in the Clippers. Hopefully they can keep pushing. I'm really happy to be a fan of Kawhi right now. Although a second round exit still hurts to be them. I think this is a crazy outlook for Luka Doncic, and maybe he needs a better team around him. I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, like I'm looking at this game, and Dallas, they came out storming after the first quarter. It was 38-35 for the Mavericks. Looks like they took control, and they just kind of fell off. Like after the first quarter, they didn't score more than 30 points, right? So they had 24, 23, 26 in the subsequent quarters. And then, the Clippers were able to take control, shut them down defensively, scoring 35, 30, and 26. That fourth quarter was key in that victory because they were able to limit the Mavericks to, 26 points, even though the Clippers only put up 26. I just think, Kawhi didn't put too many points up on the board, but he was able to shut down the Mavericks in his defensive game. And, I look at a guy like Doncic, and I just think maybe this wasn't his year. because we all know he's a great player. He went off. I think he had 46 points in this game, something like that, and he's ready to take this team to the next stage. But I don't think this was the year to do it for him. And I think it's going to be next year that he takes that step with this team. They may need one or two more pieces to get there. I don't know what those pieces are. Maybe you can help me fill that puzzle in. But I'm happy the Clippers won this series, man, because I want to see this team do well. Otherwise, I think we're going to see this team blown up. Kawhi doesn't re-sign because obviously he can option out after this year. So I'm just interested to see how far do the Clippers have to go for Kawhi to resign, and what is the steps for the Mavericks next year? I guess that's two different questions for you. You can take whichever one you want first.
Yeah, I'll go with the Clippers right now because they're on the hot seat, still in the playoffs, rather. Anything but a loss. I'd say even a loss in the conference finals, even a loss in the finals, he would resign. Like, I think that's the limit. A W or a loss in the finals, and that's a huge, huge, huge ceiling, right? There's a low floor. I mean, there's a steady floor that there's another 7-game series against Utah, and that's a toss-up in Game 7. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and a couple of pieces over there in Utah. And even that high altitude is always a situation for players that go over to that state. Is it the state of Utah?
Yep.
Yeah, and Denver, Colorado area. Sorry, I don't know. I think Utah still has some high altitude, regardless it's in the mountains or something. And that affects play. And some players, hopefully, that the home court advantage. I think it's Utah's, obviously, but maybe the Clippers can start out hot out on the road. And right now, obviously, I think my answer, even for Kawhi, if he loses in the conference finals, is there could be a better team for him out there with more confidence and more promise for next season with a potential opt-out. But a loss in the finals, there might be one or two more pieces just to stay with the Clippers for that last year, and that last year could be big. But yeah, that's my answer on that. Moving over to the Luka Doncic's idea, there's a lot of conversation on internet, TikTok, Twitter, whatever you get it from, about comparisons between Luka Doncic and Trae Young. And obviously, if you weren't aware, they were like the 4th and 6th picks on their draft respectable night. Same night they were traded for each other, pick for pick, had their hats on. Luka was drafted to that, and then they swapped hats and they took another picture. It was in superstar NBA history. I think it's hard out of a championship contending team to 7 games, and Trae Young advanced over the New York Knicks, or new to the playoffs, and even a streaky team this year. I still think Luka is a little bit over Trae Young in dominance and consistency, performance, and clutch. But hats off to Trae Young for taking the Atlanta Hawks over the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid playing tonight in Game 1 in the afternoon. Just ruined in Triple H's DX stint tonight.
That was great to see.
Pretty interesting to see as Joel came into the round and with him. And Trae Young was kind of the villain, if you would rather use that subject, for the New York Knicks fans and their hopes as playoffs, pushing them just to the brink and acting as if, the fans were increasing the fuel in his tank to put the Knicks down. I think the next step for the Mavericks here is you need a healthy Kristaps Porzingis. And I think he was an inconsistent player for them this year in the regular season with his injuries. And even in the playoffs, honestly, if he just found a little bit of a better stride, he could have even been the reason that they took them over the edge against the Clippers, just considering all the way it came down. But Kristaps was once MVP and a very high caliber player. I don't think he's at that level right now. I don't know if his body's even in that position to be so. The Mavericks do have at least 2 big signings, 1 big trade to be made. Depending on the situation where those players are moved, the cap situation they have. I think Mark Cuban is a man who's going to see right now that it's attractive to win in the NBA, and that it's money buys talent, money buys championships, money buys forwardness in the playoffs. And if you ever want Luka Doncic to stay around, maybe throw out his extension and sign something forever, as Dirk Nowitzki was an all-time member of the Mavericks, something like that. I'm sure a lot of people compare You're going to have to make his team. Dirk won and went to the finals a couple times. So you're going to have to make the Mavericks attractive to Luka, and you're going to have to make it attractive to him fast, because he's going to mature in an age where, we've seen it. People just ask for trades, and they're out in the blink of a week. You can pull a James Harden and go to the strip club and act like you don't care, and then go to a championship team. So I think that we should have a video on free agencies this offseason for the NBA.
Oh, for sure.
Be,
NBA free agency is one of the best things. It's so entertaining.
That'll be a situation where we see what Mark Cuban, and he's not looking to move his coach. So you're going to see a similar team, I would imagine. But, look for a draft player to fill into a role for them, as they've had some good draft success. And, hopefully they can pick up someone who's looking to be a starter. They need a starter. I don't know. It depends. I don't think they need a big man. They need someone in the 3 position, similar to. Let me get this. It's similar to a Norman Powell type player. Not that Norman Powell obviously would be available. He may, but Norman Powell, Gary Trent, one of those 2-3 guards. I mean, 2 guards realistically that. Just ease the pressure for Luka, because it's not even healthy for him to be putting up 50 points a night, especially if he's going to be doing that in the regular season to carry them through high seeding ranks into the playoffs.
Right.
He's going to need to share the ball, and he's going to need another little high caliber player there to be with him. And I think it's a ball handler, because when you watch the Mavericks, and sometimes you realize that it is statistically proven that they're minus 33 when he's not on the floor, and they're plus 43 when he's on the floor. So it's you need someone who's able to carry a little bit of the bench, especially with Luka even just being less used out on the floor, just for his overall usage and health going forward. But you're right. You had a very good saying about the fact that it's simply not their year. And if they won, they wouldn't have necessarily even moved on past the next round, because the Utah Jazz are quite the contender. And I'm not even saying the Clippers have it guaranteed to move past the Utah Jazz. I think that is definitely a 7-game series, hopefully for the Clippers to win. But for the Dallas Mavericks, you can see the rest of the NBA. It's geared up for either the Clippers, the Nets, the Bucks, Sixers, and even now the Suns to get there. Even if the Mavericks kept pushing forward, even to the conference finals, I would expect them to get demolished easily before they even touch foot in the finals. And that's just because of the inexperience and lack of depth they have. But it was entertaining to see them push 7 games today. I'm glad that we're talking about it. Happy to see my guy Kawhi move on, and hopefully he can bring some happiness to the other side of LA down there.
Right. So I have a lot to ask you about the NBA. Actually, just listening to you talk there, that made me raise a lot of questions. Because obviously, I know a little bit about the NBA, enough to have a conversation with you about it. But you know more than me. So, I don't know where I want to start here. Let's stick with the first round, I guess. Obviously, the Lakers lose in the first round, and we have LeBron just kind of throwing a tantrum on walking off the court, not shaking hands with anybody. They drop a set to who the fuck were they playing? Whoever they were playing.
The Phoenix Suns.
The Suns. Yeah, they lose to the Phoenix Suns. What happened there? What went wrong with the Lakers, and what do we take away from LeBron kind of not showing sportsmanship, losing in the first round for the first time in his career? Do you take anything from that?
It definitely was a comparison to excuse me there. Sorry,
it was weird to see, man.
A bad choice of words. No, I know where I was going. It was a direct relation to their regular season inconsistencies and where that placed them in the standings going into the playoffs. 7th place, almost kicked out against Steph Curry in the play-in round, which I would have loved to see. I got into a 6-game or 5-game series against the Phoenix Suns where they clearly look outplayed and dominated, and Chris Paul's leadership took that to the next level. But I got to take into the fact that Anthony Davis was hurt for essentially the whole series, if not only played 1 full game, maybe 2, 1.5. And when he tried to force himself to play the last game, and he got hurt on a simple movement defensively, and you could see that he walked right off the court. And that's not good for him. You kind of can relate that to the situation where the Golden State Warriors almost made Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant forcefully play through some of their tweaks and injuries, which ultimately caused ACL, ankle injuries, and MCL, regardless, career 12-month threatening, injuries to their bodies. And people were questioning the fact on the medical team's advice to have Anthony Davis go back into the game. And when you're a high-level superstar like that, it's important to remember when those decisions were made. Hopefully you don't get hurt. But I believe the Lakers' reasons for inconsistency this regular season and playoffs is just Anthony Davis. Obviously, LeBron can't do it by himself right now. And if you look around the team, it's not a group of players that are meshed together with good chemistry. You got Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Kuzma, a bunch of guys kind of thrown together that, on the outside don't look like that necessarily get along, and a little bit of unnecessary cockiness from a guy like Andre Drummond, who came in and started acting as if he was been a Laker for his whole career, and then completely got outplayed on the high end when he was on the floor and trying to help out. But I think for the Lakers, it was just a telltale sign of getting outplayed, outcoached, depth. I don't think they have a good coach. Obviously, it was lucky that they won last year in Disney World. I think that even the Phoenix Suns mocked them for that a couple times. And I think that I'm excited for any moves. And I don't like seeing the Lakers win right now. I'm glad that they got their ring when they did. And I'm not excited. LeBron can, lose again in the first round. And I wouldn't be too worried about where basketball's going. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's some good points you bring up. I love I think it's good for basketball that LeBron is done in the first round, because now we get to focus on these other stars. Even last night, right? Like, I know Doncic gets eliminated in the first round, but everybody was watching that game. Not last night, today, but everybody was watching that. Like, I tuned in. I'm not the biggest NBA fan, but that's a game I was watching. I had my eyes on it. So I think that's good for the NBA. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, what second round matchups do you have your eyes on? I want you to pick two that you have your eyes on.
Currently, it'll be the Brooklyn Nets versus the Milwaukee Bucks, which is at 1-0 the Nets.
Yep.
Unfortunately, James Harden went out with a hamstring injury and will be missing the second game of that series. It'll be interesting to see what that affects. It was an early injury in the game that they won against the Bucks. But I think that this could obviously be a conference final, if not final. I don't think the Bucks look playoff prepared, rather physically on the floor and as a team compared to the overall skill that brings from all the players that come around Kyrie and Kevin Durant. They really want to play for each other, and they know it's their time, and it's probably do or die. You never know when another super team could be made. I think the Brooklyn Nets could potentially sweep this series if James Harden only misses one game. But other than that series, I don't want to say the Clippers, because it's not even an entertaining series to go against. I would say that it's going to be really interesting to see the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. Two MVP candidates, Chris Paul and Nikola Jokic, go against each other, and that's another situation that could be a conference final matchup on my decision. So really good quality basketball matches right now, and I hope the NHL takes note, because I think that they're really seeing a lack of equal competitiveness on both sides of their bracket right now. I would say that you would agree with the fact that Colorado and Vegas is twice the series that Winnipeg, Montreal could ever imagine to be.
Right. And one last question about the NBA, then we can just start talking about some other stuff. It kind of relates back to LeBron as well. He, gone in the first round. We don't have that star power or people say we don't have that star power. Do you think the product will suffer with not having LeBron make it past the first round, or are people still going to be as interested as they would be with him moving past the first
round? That's an interesting question. Definitely taking it back to where we're talking about what the future of basketball looks right now. And with LeBron's exit, I think that right now it's in good hands. You can clearly see it even in good hands with another elimination of Luka Doncic, and him and his superstardom on the rise is amazing. I think that there's three teams right now that are very focused on that even have more preparation, better chances than I think. Sorry
to cut you off, but the teams that have made it to the second round are not traditional basketball markets, right? That we've seen in the last, let's say, 10, 15 years, like especially with Phoenix, Denver, even Dallas. These teams are not, it's not your typical, Cleveland, Golden State final. These teams
Yeah.
haven't been given the chance to shine. So is this going to
Yeah.
hurt basketball or is this going to help it?
I mean, I wouldn't say Cleveland was the biggest market. Obviously, LeBron,
But they were there
definitely
for
turned them
what were
into the
they 4 times
situation
in a
and the
row?
contender that they were. Golden State, obviously, is a situational year for them, considering they had a very unhealthy team and only Steph Curry to really push them anywhere. But yeah, I'd say Utah, Denver, the Clippers even have never had much success in depth into the playoffs. And even the Brooklyn Nets, obviously going into the playoffs, were predicted to win the whole thing. Haven't been in a situation as an organization for a long time. And take them back to the days where they had D'Angelo Russell and a bunch of other guys, all the way back to Jason Kidd. Never they had much success and went anywhere deep. And this is the first year for that organization's expectations to be broke or risen to. I think in regards to LeBron's exit in the future of the NBA, I'm really, really excited. Obviously, I like Luka in comparison to Trey, but for Trey Young's a breakout right now, I think if he can get to the conference finals, that's amazing for Atlanta and basketball overall, and NBA and Trey Young and players his size and the way he plays. He's been criticized a lot, for the way he tweaks underneath the rules and maybe tries to get more fouls and buckets than other players. But I think that right now he's just showing up from deep, playing like he would when he was younger, and being within himself. It's really impressive to see. It would be crazy to see him carry over the 76ers because it was pretty clear that the 76ers and the Nets would be in the conference final this year. And I'm not a huge fan of the 76ers. I don't think that they're all that. They got some pieces, but they don't have the chemistry. Same thing as a couple other teams right now. They got Ben Simmons, who's consistently a reliable upon player, and he can't even shoot a mid-range deep shot with his left hand to save his life. If he had I don't even want to mention it. It's just so horrid his shot. Joel Embiid is a little bit of an unfortunate band-aid, getting hurt a little bit, and his questionable for today's game as well. And even then, he's a centerman that people think is the best, a center who people think is the best. I think that he tries to play a little bit more of a guard position than forward position more than he tries to play up in the post, where he would be absolutely dominant with his size and footwork. He tries to step back and shoot and dribble within the way, and sometimes that takes away from his possessions and turnovers, and that's some inconsistencies that the Atlanta Hawks might capitalize on. Obviously, they did today. They got Seth Curry, who's a high clip shooter, and they got Danny Green, but he's unreliable, and we've seen how he can get criticized down deep. They got Dwight Howard, and I think it's just one of those teams where you're hoping for the best with all these bets. It's almost as if it's a little bit of a Joe Thornton, Wayne Simmons situation where you're just hoping these guys will clutch it up for you. But in relation, I wished obviously Jamal Murray was healthy and the Denver Nuggets were right now where they were with him. But I think that Michael Porter Jr. and Nikola Jokic can still provide a competitive series against Chris Paul and Devin Booker. And I think that the headline right now is getting Chris Paul all-inclusive, whatever, Hall of Famer, if that all-inclusive stay at the Hall of Fame, hotel for him, for sure. His first ring ever. And I think that is on the mind of many people is Chris Paul achieving something in a place where no one would have thought that he would have ended up, with Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and a coach with Montgomery, an organization out with, obviously, you say, small market in Phoenix. Never had much success since the Phoenix Nash days, a final championship ring. And I think Chris Paul would be one of my all-time favorite point guards, especially watching him with Blake Griffin and the Clippers back in the alley-oop days. I think that that's my storyline right now, surrounded by Kawhi Leonard, solidifying his legacy as an all-time dominant playoff performer. And I think that if he gets the Clippers to a Suns series, that'll be an entertaining series, regardless of anything LeBron could have ever done with his weak team. Honestly, it was just him and a fractured and ill Anthony Davis. And I'm very interested to see the depth moves they make, because I don't think Kyle Kuzma or Taylor Horton-Tucker or Marcus Gasol will be around, including Wesley Matthews, a couple of other pieces that were expected to make them push this year. So I might sound biased, but I'm definitely happy to see them out.
Sounds good, buddy. Just a quick touch on the NHL. This game just ended. The Canadians beat the Jets 5-1 in Game 3. So the Canadians take a 3-0 lead over the Winnipeg Jets.
Wow.
Just a ridiculous turn of events, because
this is hilarious.
Like, it's so fucking dumb. The Maple Leafs should have been there. If the Leafs were there in the second round, I think they would have shit kicked the Jets.
Well, now that's what we would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch on it too much more, but I just wanted to bring that up. The Avalanche are currently leading the Golden Knights 2-1 in the series and 1-0 in Game 4. That's just 2 minutes in, so that game's not really over. But maybe let's just get a quick opinion on you and the Mark Scheifele hit. Maybe give me 30 seconds on what you thought about that.
Yeah, all my Montreal Habs friends just I can't believe how much they're never gonna live this down. Sorry.
30 seconds on it.
You know what's funny? I'm gonna relate this to the Torrey Krug hit on Robert Thomas a couple of years back. People have been mentioning how nothing happened for that, and Torrey Krug took off in full stride from end to end and demolished.
And that's interesting you bring that up, right? Because he knew what he was doing from the moment he took that first step in his own zone. He knew he was going to lay that guy out. I don't think Scheifele knew he was going to hit him until he hit the hash marks.
Yeah, you can tell, the way he glided into it and set it up, and the way he wasn't looking at the puck or the net, just anything but, everything just Jake Evans. I think that it wasn't a good luck for him, hockey. Appropriate suspension. I really have not too much to say on it, but I'm just going to open up the conversation that I would love to remind people of that Torrey Krug hit.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a little bit harsh, but fair. Canadians take a 3-0 lead in that series, so it'll be interesting to see if the Jets can battle back. They probably won't, but
Fuck no, man! This is going to be hilarious. The Jets.
It's amazing.
The Canadians
I just can't wait. I can't wait for the Canadians to get the fuck kicked out of them in the conference final against the Avalanche or the Golden Knights, right? Like it's going to be.
That's who they're going to play.
And so they play the winner of the Avalanche versus the Golden Knights.
Imagine, bro, if they win that, it's their cup.
I know. Oh, dude, honestly, if they win that, all on them. Good for them.
That would be. I might have to go buy a fucking Hockey Emmy jersey.
No, we're never doing that. Okay, so one last thing. The main event for tonight, we got Logan Paul. Is it Logan Paul? Yeah, we got Logan Paul versus Money Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather tonight. Boxing match. The rules are there's going to be no winner if it goes to a tie. No judges.
8 rounds.
Knockouts allowed. 8 rounds. 3 minutes. So a couple questions on this. You can answer this one pretty quickly. Are you watching it?
Yes, I will have to find a way to pay for it first, though.
Yes. Okay. I will be watching it legally too. Who you got? What's going on here? Like, what's your feeling about this event?
Dude, I don't know. I'm excited to see it. I mean, there's a weight difference, height difference, but experience difference and professionalism difference, and that's going to be the key factor here. And I'm not really, I can't, I'm not the boxing guy right now. I can't give much prediction. I'd love to see Floyd honestly just pulverize this guy.
So would I.
But I think, some part of me would just be like, oh my God, what? It is the year for this to happen the other way too.
Yeah.
And Mayweather just gets, I don't know. I just can't tell.
I see this two ways, right? Like this is you and I are big WWE fans. This is the pinnacle of entertainment right here. The way they have, tuned this up. They had the whole got your hat thing. I know that was the wrong Paul brother, but he's part of the whole situation, right? And the way they've queued this fight up, it's perfect for a Logan Paul win. Because if Logan Paul is able to pull off a win, but the only way he can win is by knockout. So if he knocks him out, if he knocks out the greatest boxer to ever fight, good on you, buddy. Great.
Yeah, holy fuck.
I doubt that'll happen. I think, knockouts are allowed, so Mayweather's probably just going to bury this guy in the first 2 rounds. The speed, the experience, the skill. I cannot see an amateur boxer having any fucking chance against him.
Yeah, honestly, man, just after seeing the brother just do things, and not that that's a boxer, it was Ben Askren and a couple of MMA YouTube guys. Regardless, I can't even tell right now. Everything's up in the air, and we might be, talking in a whole different light on our next show about this result.
Yeah, it kind of snuck up on me. I kind of forgot it was happening until this morning, to be honest.
Yeah.
right?
Also,
So
Chad Ocho Cinco got in a fight he was the first fight tonight. I think that's what I heard.
yeah, no, that's I think the main card starts at 9 p.m. So
Yeah,
we'll see
I
what
think,
happens. You got any final thoughts for today's episode?
I just want to remind people to the episode a couple of weeks back where the Mavericks were up 2-0, and I wore my Kawhi Leonard jersey in spite of them being down, and I think that drove some energy into them, and I think that I'm proud of that. Can't believe Team Canada, like just underneath our bed while we were sleeping, like a tooth fairy, came back from a 0-3
Wins gold.
deficit.
That's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, and some stars are born. I would say Connor Brown needs some respect on his name, because I hope that
Giovanni,
the Toronto
Logan
Maple Leafs
Paul.
could ever get him back. So even the Ottawa Senators is unfortunately looking like a team that could make some moves. Hopefully, if they play like this, but hope this gets some opinion back, and we'd love to see what you guys think of the 3-on-3 ruling today.
Right. And big shout out to my beautiful fiance. She makes this shirt for me. So we're going to have some merch coming out soon. Me, Brandon, and Matt will be rocking the Orion Sportscast merch. We've got some hats, sweaters, shirts going. So look out for that. If you want some, send us a
Underwear.
DM. I'm sure we can hook you up. Underwear, yeah. Just Speedos.
Okay, guys. We'll see you later.
Yeah. All right, Betty. Well, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we will hit you up next week, I guess.